BZRK VOODOO, the seasonal pre-workout that everyone loves to talk about. I love this product because both the flavor changes and the formula changes every year. And we get to have a little bit of fun talking about what's different for this year, especially with the big prop blend at the end. We get to guess about what the dosages are for each one, which, you know, I weirdly love doing. So let's talk about Black Magic BZRK 2022 Voodoo Edition. So since this formula changes every single year, I want to talk about what this product is and what it isn't off the bat. A couple of things about this product are either going to attract people or drive it away. So let's talk about big categories this product fits into. First off the bat is caffeine content. It's got 400 milligrams of caffeine. It's got quadruple choline uptake stacks in here. And we'll talk about the different aspects of that, but there's a lot of focus on choline here. So you're going to get a lot of really great focus. Neurofactor, tyrosine, and added PEA for brain focus. Again, a lot of focus here. I'm a fan of it. They use Nitro Rocket for the pumps alongside a big dose of citrulline. And they added in Synactive, the senolytic ingredient from New Live Sciences. Now, I don't know what dosage this is at because it's in the proprietary blend, but since it's towards the spot where I would expect it to be around 50 milligrams, which is the clinical dosage, I'm going to assume that. Again, I don't actually know the dosage though. That's something we're going to talk about during this video. Now, things it doesn't contain, which are going to be important to know, is that it doesn't have any beta alanine. So none of that tingling that some people seem to hate, even though it's a very helpful ingredient. I think that puts it in a category that a lot of people are looking for, which is important. And also the second part that it doesn't include is going to be kind of a part of that as well. It does not contain any alpha yohimbe, which is very popular in the industry right now, but again, can be very uncomfortable for some people. So while this is a high stim, great focus pre-workout, it doesn't use any uncomfortable stimulants or ingredients that people are staying away from, which again, I'm going to say is actually kind of important because a lot of people are looking for those categories. So with that all said, let's kind of start from the top and talk about all the ingredients that are going to be in here. First off the bat is citrulline malate. They've got a whopping 10 grams of citrulline malate in here. Now that's not to be confused with L-Citrulline. It does contain L-Citrulline, but it's blended with malic acid to make citrulline malate. Now they don't tell us what the ratio is here, but we most commonly see it at a 2-to-1 ratio, sometimes 1-to-1, but I would really only guess it was that if they were going to actually say it was that. Most commonly is 2-to-1, so I feel pretty safe assuming here that we're going to get a little bit under 7 grams of pure L-Citrulline from this at the 2-to-1 ratio. Now, citrulline is a really awesome ingredient for pumps. Around this dose of around a little under 7 grams, we're getting to what I consider to be like the upper limit of what is cost effective for citrulline. As you get above like 8 grams, you do continue to get more pumps out of it, but the amount that you get for each added gram just becomes less and less. That's not to say I don't like a lot of citrulline, but when you're combining with some other stuff, or depending on the purpose of the product, BZRK is a pre-workout, not a pump product specifically, a little bit less sometimes can be a better idea because it saves money for other parts of the formula. Now, L-Tyrosine in here at 1.5 grams is definitely a nice dosage. L-Tyrosine used to be something we'd only see at like 750, then it crept into the gram range, and now we're oftentimes seeing it over a gram. Over, 2 grams sometimes can give some people anxiety, although I really do like big dosages of tyrosine, which actually was inspired from the sister brand of Black Magic, Myoblocks. They used to put 3 grams in their Skywalk. They might actually still do that, I think. I really like that, but here we're going to get 1.5 grams, which is still going to be above average dosing, but if you're afraid of bigger dosages of these kinds of things, it's going to be a little bit more of a more comfortable dosage for you. Tyrosine's a precursor to things like dopamine and adrenaline. It helps a lot with focus, and it also helps with neurotransmitter production being maintained during times of stress. A good example of this was it being studied during sleep-deprived individuals. So if you're sleep-deprived, you're still going to have good neurotransmitter production. That's really important for focusing, whether it's work, studying, or training. Now, Nitro Rocket is an arugula extract that's going to be around a 10% nitrate standardization. Nitrates we often see as the thermolife versions that are going to be amino acids bonded to nitrates, but in this case, it's a naturally occurring nitrate from arugula. This is going to be a way higher concentration than what you would see in beets, celery, spinach, and while 10% doesn't sound like a lot, it's actually a very significant standardization for nitrates. Whole arugula actually only has about 0.4%. So the fact that they got it up to 10% for this standardization is impressive. Now, nitrates in my eyes are actually different than your normal citrulline type pumps. I get a harder, more athletic pump, and that's why I like this product for more powerlifting type stuff, or strength training, or stuff that's not as focused on just an entire pump, but actually moving some weight. Just to recap, if you are not familiar with nitrates, they're really helpful for improving circulation, but they're also really great for improving aerobic capacity. They're also proven to boost strength, physical endurance, boost recovery, and give you higher cellular energy levels. Nitro Rocket itself doesn't have any clinical data, but this is an extract that brings a standardization of an ingredient that we are well aware of. Nitrates are well known, and they've been working for quite some time, so I'm excited to see it in this product. Now, Katuba bark extract next was in the previous version, the Mad Melons flavor last year. This is going to be a really potent inhibitor of acetylcholine esterase. Now, when we talk about choline, which we will in a little bit, choline is going to help our bodies create acetylcholine, which is the learning neurotransmitter. It's really important for training. It's depleted when we train, but it's also really important, again, for learning. So if you're working, studying, training, oftentimes these are like the three things I talk about with these types of ingredients. Acetylcholine is going to be very important, but there's an enzyme called acetylcholine esterase that breaks down excess amounts of acetylcholine. So oftentimes we take acetylcholine esterase inhibitors like Katuba bark extract that help break down that enzyme so you keep more of it around. This is going to improve things like learning and memory, learning neurotransmitter, right? But some other things that it improves also are motor skills like balance and coordination. So all around, a great idea. Now, from there, we get into the Possessed Matrix. This is a proprietary blend, a few different ingredients in here. Now, I gotta be up front, I'm not a fan of proprietary blends, but there are still a few companies that keep them around. It brings a little bit of mystery to the dosages here. Now, I'm not a fan of that thought process. I do believe in transparency, and especially with a couple dosages in here, I'd really like to know what we're getting here, because it could be make or break on whether or not I think it's effective. But that being said, we do know what some of the dosages are in here. We can kind of extrapolate a little bit. I will do my best to kind of assume some and kind of share my thought process, but also know that I have no idea what's in here. I did not ask Black Magic. Sometimes I can ask companies and they will let us know, but for something like this where it is something that, you know, they do yearly, I wouldn't expect them to give us much. Story at the top is going to be beta phenylethylamine, which is PEA. This is kind of recognized as one of the greatest pre-workout supplements ever. It's a stimulant, and what I really have to give them a lot of commendation for is that they did not call it Origerensis. Origerensis is oftentimes subbed in as the name of these synthetic stimulants that are PEAs. People like to call them Origerensis so that they're more compliant because they come from a natural source. It's not natural. It's never been Origerensis. It's synthetic PEA, and I'm really happy that they decided to actually call it PEA because that's what it is, and that's more compliant that way. Now, taking PEA is going to flood your brain with catecholamines. Dopamine, adrenaline, noradrenaline. It's going to make you energized, motivated. There's a decent amount of euphoria to it too. The product is going to feel really good when you take it. It's going to be euphoric, but also focusing. And a lot of that has to do with the PEA in it. Now, they've also got caffeine anhydrous, caffeine citrate, and dicaffeine malate in here. Now, they're split up as different ingredients, but we know that there's a total of 400 milligrams there. So that doesn't really help us too much. You have to imagine that caffeine anhydrous is probably at least 250 of that. Dicaffeine malate is after that, but there's one ingredient between it, so it makes it a little bit harder to figure that out. And then Synactive splits up dicaffeine malate and caffeine citrate. So it's kind of hard to figure out what each one is going to be, except for the fact that I'm assuming Synactive is around 50 milligrams and caffeine citrate is after that, so we're assuming that's going to be 50 or less. Now, the inositol that breaks up the caffeine and the dicaffeine malate is a simple carbohydrate that's helpful for your brain. It supports neurotransmitter activity. It maintains the phospholipid bilayer cellular membranes that enclose the contents of all of your brain's cells. And for the record, there is such a thing as inositol deficiency. So if you're not getting enough of it in your body, supplementing it is going to be likely very helpful. Now, this is also a source of niacin. Inositol hexanicotinate, see that 3 times fast, is going to be like a flush-free niacin. Now, we prefer our niacins full flush here, but it is still a source of niacin, which is going to be helpful for NAD production, which we have recently found gives us a little bit of a brain buzz. I'm not saying this specifically itself is going to do that for you, but we are big fans of NAD here. Any way that we can get a little bit more of it is definitely going to be seen well from our side. Now, like I spoke out with Synactive in here, we're hoping it's at 50 milligrams. It's at a spot where it could be, and honestly, it's, you know, cost effective enough to use 50 milligrams of it. I have to assume they did, but again, it is an assumption. This is a senolytic agent, which basically means that it's going to help your body identify and get rid of old dying cells and replace it with new ones. Now, this does a lot of things for us. It helps us get rid of inflammation. It also helps us recover faster. It's also going to drive glycogen replenishment even better, which has some applications in enhancing performance as well. Overall, it's an awesome ingredient. I love Synactive. I always wish I could get more of it, so having it involved in here is at least going to be helpful to boosting my daily amount of it. Last 2 things we got here are teacrine and huperzine A. Now, teacrine, again, I don't know the dosage of it here. It's at the very end. And being before huperzine A does not do much justice for it because huperzine A is usually a very small dosage. That being said, T-Cream is going to be a similar chemical structure to caffeine. It's going to give you energy, both mental and physical, which is important. It does this partially by blocking adenosine like caffeine does, also through some other pathways. It's dopaminergic and also upregulates the function of dopamine receptors. All this is going to enhance motivation and focus. Lastly, we've got Huperzine A, again, another acetylcholine esterase inhibitor. So any acetylcholine that we're making, we're going to keep it around for even longer. Overall, BZRK is a fun product, and every year's Voodoo version changes a little bit. It's fun to see what they come up with, and I definitely like some of the things that they do with it. I wish that we had the dosages for some of these in the proprietary blend, but again, in the spirit of Halloween and Voodoo, maybe that mystery helps a little bit because you're taking this product and you have no clue really what's going to happen when you take it. I always enjoy using this product, and while I do push for transparency in the industry, I have to tip my hat to them. They always give a great experience. And for some people, that's what's most important. Not everyone's going to care all about the supplement facts panel, although some of us in the echo chamber inside the industry tend to focus and maybe obsess over this a little bit too much. At the end of the day, this is a very popular brick and mortar brand, and a lot of users, I've seen them in my gym and brick and mortars all over, have enjoyed this product because it's hardcore. It gets them going. And for those people, they don't care if Synactive's at 49 or 50 milligrams. And I have a lot of respect for that because the time that we're spending sitting around here talking about supplements, they're actually training. So with that all said, I do have to say I got this product for free, and we do have a business affiliate relationship with Black Magic, but I felt I've been rather transparent and honest about the dosages in this product. So hopefully that was educational and informative for you and informs your buying decision yourself. I'm definitely enjoying the Grim Aether. I'm going to go use it for a shoulder day right now, literally, after this next video. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.